All right, ladies and gentlemen, so today we're going to be starting the third part of our inequality, or of our equations and expressions, which is on something called inequalities. And an inequality is a problem with more than one answer. Right? So these occur quite often in real-world situations. So for example, report cards just came out a little while ago, and in order to make honor roll, you had to have a 90 or higher. That's an inequality. There isn't just one grade that will get you on the honor roll. There's several. So we have some symbols that we use. We have less than, greater than, less than or equal to, greater than or equal to, and it gives it to you in words. This means less than or fewer than, and so on. So what we're going to be doing is, one of the new pieces to this is that we have to be able to create a number line graph as a picture for to show all of the possible answers. So we're going to practice just that part before we start actually having to solve these. So when I look at this, so number one says x is less than 3. So what I do is that whatever number this is, I have to put a circle. And the circle is either open or it's colored in, and that depends on the symbol. So this symbol, less than, tells me that my circle type is an open circle. So I go right on the number line at 3 and I draw an open circle. Now I have to shade, and you shade left or right depending on what it says. And this time it's telling me I need numbers that are less than 3. Well, where are the numbers that are less than 3? Well, examples, 2, 1, 0, -1, and so on. So we're going to shade to the left. And you literally just kind of color over the number line, but you make it dark enough that I can see it, and you put a little arrow, because these go on forever. It doesn't just stop at -5 because the graph stops at -5. All right, so let's try this one. This one says x is greater than or equal to 6. So this is telling me I have to start at this number. Now 6 isn't on my number line, so I'm going to add it in a little bit. Right over here, it's after 5. And this one, so I'm going to start with my circle. Now I have to decide, is it colored in or not? Anytime you see this line underneath, that little line right there, it tells you it has to be colored in. Because this time 6 could be one of the answers, because it says or equal to. In the first example, 3 could not be, because 3 is not less than 3, it's equal to 3. Now I need it to be greater than 6. Well, greater than 6 goes to the right. And I'm going to run into the other problem, so I'm going to make my arrow a little short. Remembering, though, that that's separate, I'm going to actually draw a little dotted line here. Separate than that other graph. All right, so this symbol isn't in our list, so we're going to add it in. This symbol means not equal to, and the circle type would be an open circle. So I'm going to put an open circle at -2. This means not equal to means it can be anything except -2. So that means it can be greater than, I can shade to the right, and it could be less than, I can shade to the left. Okay, so that's how we make these. So let's see what else it wants us to do. Translate the inequality and then graph it. So x is greater than -1. So we start with x, or whatever variable they're telling you to use, and greater than looks like this. I can always double check that back up here. Greater than, there's the symbol, and -1. All right, now I have to graph it. So I put a circle at -1. It's an open circle because it doesn't have the line. Greater than -1 means that we're going to be going to the right. And you can always test it and see. Pick a number towards where you're coloring. So for example, 3, is 3 greater than -1? Yes. All right. X is at most 5, so we're going to see x. So at most means that that is the biggest it can be, but it can be smaller than that. So at most, there's at most, is the less than or equal to symbol. So when I color this, when I do my graph, I need a circle at 5. It has the line, which means I'm going to color it in. And if the biggest it can be, so that means it can be smaller than that, so we're going to shade this way. And you don't have to go all the way to the end of the number line, right, as long as it's nice and dark over it, but that doesn't mean I want these big scribbles. Okay, x is not less than 8. Well, Not less than means it has to be greater than or equal to. And if you look back up here, is not less than. No less than is the same thing as not less than. Now again, our graphs don't necessarily match here, so 5, I'm going to extend this. 6, 7, 8. So we're going to get a closed circle because it has the line. And greater than, I know I'm totally running out of room here, but would go towards the right. Write an inequality to represent each graph. So I'm going to start with a variable. You know I'm boring, I'm going to use x. I'm going to look to see what number is it. There's an 11, that's where the circle's at. And I'm going to the right, which means I'm getting numbers that are greater than x. It's a colored in circle, so I'm going to add my line. For number 8, I'm going to start with my variable. There's my number, -5. Now I got to figure out what symbol. Well, it's going towards the left, which means those are less than. It's open, which means I do not have to put the line there. All right, next. Oh my gosh, that was it. Look at how easy that was. All right, any questions? As always, bring them to class. Have a good night, guys.